I went into the occupied Palestinian territories a few weeks ago, into Area C. I met with the Bedouin women, and some of the stories that they told me and the images I've seen from their phones and the videos of the violence they're facing, in particular as women and their children, young girls, is shocking and it's harrowing, and I don't wish to repeat it here. But I want to know what steps the government are taking to prevent the indiscriminate violence that and attacks on civilians that many people in the West Bank are facing. Alex mentioned earlier, we saw a mosque that had been burnt out. Some of this is being state-sanctioned. The IDF are standing outside. The police will stand outside. The settlers go in and do what they want and come outside. What steps are we taking as a government to call this out?
Yeah. And let me start by saying I'm clearly not familiar with the details of what you were told, but I too hear truly awful stories of violence in the West Bank, and there has been a very concerning trend in the West Bank. It is, and I saw, Chair, that last night in the media you were highlighting both the importance, rightly, of events in Gaza and the West Bank. Stability in the West Bank is vitally important too, and we are concerned by some of the developments there, and we are particularly concerned by the violence against civilians that you describe. As I say, we have been tracking this very closely. We have seen a marked uptick in violence associated with settlements on the civilian population of the West Bank and elsewhere. And we, as I say, we have taken sanctions measures already, and we keep them under very close review. You mentioned earlier, Uma, some of the comments of the Israeli government ministers, one of whom has left and one of whom remains. It is very unusual for one government to comment on the comments of ministers of another, but we took that rather unusual step because we were so concerned by some of the violence in the West Bank, which clearly has political support from some elements, which we would like to see stopped.
Some of this has been described as an unlawful use of force by the UN Human Rights Office. People want to see us hold perpetrators to account in line with their obligations under international law. They want to see Britain leading from the front. We've had a long history of standing up for human rights around the world. What will we be doing?
So on settlers in particular, there are questions in our mind about what role we can play to try and practically reduce the violence. The sanctions in October were far-reaching and aimed both at the perpetrators of violence, but also those who provide the infrastructure required for the construction of settlements themselves. We keep these issues under close review. I won't comment about what we might do next, but sanctions on settlers, both the physical construction and violence, remain very much at issue within the Foreign Office.